Have you ever scrolled through social media and it looks like everyone's living the dream while you're just trying to keep up? Your friend took another crazy luxury vacation, your neighbor pulls up in a brand new shiny car, and you're left wondering, how are they affording all this while I'm struggling just to get by? Well, you're not alone. This is something so many of us wrestle with, and here's the truth. This perception is more an illusion than reality. After more than a decade helping people with their finances, I've learned how to spot the real markers of wealth, and they're not what most people think. In today's video, I'll share 6 surprising reasons why you might feel like you're always playing catch up with your finances. We'll dive into the truth behind that feeling, and most importantly, how you can use it to your advantage. So let's start with the first one. Debt creates the illusion of success. When you see your friend post pictures from their insane vacation or your neighbor with another brand new car, the truth is they might not be able to afford it at all. For many people, debt is the foundation of their success. That luxury vacation probably paid for with a credit card. The shiny new car, it's likely financed. In fact, the average American car payment is over $700, yet more than 1 in 4 Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings account. That's the illusion debt can create. It lets people look rich and successful on the outside, but if we were to peel back the onion and look into their finances, it often looks very different. Take John, for example. He has the fancy car, the expensive clothes, but most of his lifestyle is probably financed through loans and credit. And he's not investing for saving for his future. While on the other hand, you're focused on building real wealth, saving and investing and creating financial freedom, and spending your money on experiences like concerts or traveling with the family. Now, sure, John's life might look glamorous on the surface, but who's truly wealthier in the long run? I'd argue it's you. The truth is, real wealth is often invisible. It's not in the car you drive, the watch you wear, or the house you own. It's in the quiet choices you make, investments growing in the background, living debt-free, and the peace of mind that comes from financial stability. While the person with the expensive car might seem like they're winning, they're often just one unexpected expense away from financial disaster. Number 2, you don't see the sacrifices. A few years ago, I met a realtor in Pennsylvania who was one of the top producers at their agency. And from the outside, it looked like he was living the dream, closing million-dollar deals, driving a fancy car, and always dressed in tailored suits. But when we talked, his reality was very different. He worked around the clock all the time. On weekdays, he was constantly on the road, flying all over the country to meet potential buyers. And on weekends, he wasn't relaxing or spending time with family. They were his busiest times, filled with open houses and back-to-back client meetings. And it turns out he was constantly stressed, and the relationship with his wife and kids was suffering. Now, this story isn't unique. High-paying careers often come with hidden sacrifices that many of us are not willing to take, including myself, because I value time with my wife and my kids. I value time being there to coach my son's football team or see my daughter's dance recital. And it's not just about careers. That friend who takes those crazy exotic vacations, they might be giving up buying the new car or not buying an expensive house right away so they can prioritize taking those crazy trips. And the truth is, success almost always comes with trade-offs. And those trade-offs might not align with your values or what you're willing to take on. Recognizing this helps you stop comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel. Instead, focus on your priorities and the life you want to build on your terms. Number 3, you're only comparing up. We all compare ourselves to others, but most of the time we're comparing upward to people who seem to have more money, nicer cars, or bigger houses. It's rare that we compare ourselves to those less fortunate than us. And this habit can create a never-ending feeling of always being behind. No matter how nice your car is, someone will always have a nicer one. No matter how big your house is, someone will always have a bigger house than you. This constant upward comparison robs us of the ability to appreciate how far we've come and what we already have in life. For example, imagine you and a friend each budget $500 a month for a car. You choose a mid-range car with a 5-year finance plan, and at the end of those 5 years, you own a car worth $20,000. Your friend, however, leases a flashy car for the same $500 monthly payment, And they may be driving something brand new, but at the end of those 3 years, they've spent $18,000 and have nothing to show for it. So on the surface, your friend might look better off, but in reality, their financial situation is much worse. One way to escape the comparison trap is to stop looking upwards and start looking backwards. Ask yourself, am I doing better than I was last year? Whether it's in your finances, health, or personal growth, focus on your own progress. If you're not improving, don't waste your time on those who look better off. Use that energy to change your habits and take steps forward. Number 4, some people do have money. Learn from them. It's true that some people genuinely earn high incomes. In fact, according to UBS's 2024 Global Wealth Report, 1 out of every 15 Americans is a millionaire. Now that might feel intimidating at first, but instead of asking, why does this person make more than me? Try shifting your mindset to how are they doing it and what can I learn from them? When you dig deeper, you'll often find that these people have been saving and investing consistently for years, or they built businesses. Take investing, for example. Many people wonder, how are they making 10% returns on their money? When the real issue is just a knowledge gap. Did you know that the S&P 500 has averaged 10% annual returns with dividends reinvested over the last 20 years? Setting up a brokerage account, it costs nothing, but staying consistent with good money habits, that's the hard part. Beyond investing, these people are building brands, connecting with audiences, and creating scalable income streams. Once they start generating income, they diversify their income streams in ways you might not have even considered. So it's not magic. It's a combination of creativity, persistence, and a willingness to learn. The most important lesson that I take away from all this is not to compare your story to someone else's because you don't know their full background. What matters is focusing on your own journey. What skills can you develop? How can you grow? Today, with the internet, you can learn any skill online. There are platforms like Skillshare, Masterclass, or Simplylearn that allow you to learn any skill directly from an expert, and many of the resources are free. Now, I have no affiliation with these companies, but the tools are out there if you're willing to use them. Number 5, true wealth is often invisible. Years ago, I was working for a firm and struck up a conversation with a man who walked in looking for help. He was wearing overalls, dirty boots, and looked like someone who worked on a farm. And out in central Pennsylvania, where I'm from, this is pretty common. But shortly after, I found out he owned several farms, came in because he sold one for $1.2 million. It completely caught me off guard. He didn't fit the image of what we all think is wealthy. He had no luxury car, no designer clothes, no flashy watch, just a guy who valued privacy and simplicity. I found over the years that many truly wealthy people keep their lives low-key, not because they can't afford luxury, but because they prioritize security, privacy, and meaningful experiences over what they look like. Yet social media tells a very different story, right? It creates the illusion that flashy equals rich, when really it's a filtered reality carefully curated to just impress everybody. People post the tropical vacation but leave out the months of saving and budgeting so they can afford it. Or the fact that the trip went entirely on a credit card. They don't share the sleepless nights worrying about bills or the quiet evenings eating leftovers. If scrolling through social media makes you feel like you're falling behind, remember, you're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Instead of focusing on what others are posting, channel that energy into things that truly matter. Read a personal finance book, connect with others who share your goals, or focus on skills that improve your life. Real wealth isn't loud, it's not flashy or showy, it's quiet, steady, and often invisible. And the people who have it know they don't have to prove it to anyone. And finally, number 6, you haven't defined what's enough. A few years ago, I ran into an old college friend at a dinner party. He was on top of the world, VP at a major company, beautiful house, nice car. Meanwhile, I was working a ton of hours, no fancy car, and didn't feel like I was getting ahead, but able to spend more time with my family. At first, I felt an urge to compare myself, but then I reminded myself I made a conscious decision to step off the corporate ladder, and my goal wasn't status or possessions. It was to prioritize time with my wife and kids and build a business that I was proud of. When you don't have clarity about your own values, it's easy to get swept up into what others are doing. If you're constantly focused on what others have, you'll always feel behind. But defining your enough changes the game. For me, it wasn't climbing the ladder, it was building a meaningful business and having meaningful relationships, creating memories with the people I love. The truth is, everyone's path looks different. Some people might splurge on the next new gadget or some exotic vacation because that aligns with their values. Others might invest in education or starting a business, but when your spending reflects what truly matters to you, it feels purposeful. When you don't have clarity, though, the chase never ends. There will always be someone with a bigger house, a fancier car, or a higher paying job. But when you define what happiness and success mean for you, when you define what you need to feel content, you stop comparing yourself to others. For some, it's about financial freedom and delayed gratification. For others, it's enjoying life right now and worrying about the future later. Neither is either right or wrong. It all comes down to aligning your decisions with what's important to you. And as life changes, your values might shift too, and that's okay. Just take the time to realign. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.